What's up, y'all? I'm Chef Rouge. Today I'm going to show you how to make this incredibly delicious and very nutritious hemp seed breakfast scramble. We are going to make our hemp seed breakfast scramble, and we're going to use some hemp seeds to get it started. So this is going to be the base of our recipe. So we're going to start with 2 cups of hemp seeds. I'm going to use some hot water. So we've got our 2 cups of hemp seeds. We added just some boiling water just to soak these, and these just need to sit for about 5 minutes. Now that we've got these soaked, we're just gonna let these sit, and then we are gonna rinse them and then put them in the blender. We are just adding 1.25 cups of water, and I like to kind of just pour it along the sides to get any hemp seeds that are sticking to the sides. So we'll start it on low and go up to high. Alright, now that we've got all of our ingredients prepped, we're ready to make our hemp seed breakfast scramble. So I like to start with a little bit of coconut oil mixed with extra virgin olive oil. I find the combination of coconut oil and extra virgin olive oil tastes just like butter when you're cooking. And then we are going to start with our onions. So we're going to saute our onions. We've got 2 cups of yellow onions that we are just going to saute for about 6 minutes. Alright, so we're going to put a top on, and putting a top on the pan is going to hold some of the moisture in, and it's going to allow the onions to steam so they cook a little bit quicker. We want the onions to be completely cooked before we add our hemp seeds, essentially just because we don't want any pieces of half-cooked or undercooked onions, because you don't really want to feel the texture of the onion, you just want to get the flavor. So if you put a top over your pan, it'll help hold in that steam. The onions will cook quicker and they'll soften. So we're going to cook these for about 5 minutes. You want to stir about once a minute, just so your onions don't burn. We also got some of this organic turmeric powder. This is going to make our breakfast scramble yellow, and we're going to use about 1 teaspoon of this. Our onions have been cooking for about 6 minutes, so we are going to go ahead and add some of our other ingredients. I like to kind of move things to the side of the pan. We're going to add our peppers now. So we got some jalapenos. You can also use red bell peppers if you prefer. We're also going to add our spices to the pan. So we've got our coriander, thyme, onion powder, and garlic powder. I like to get those on the bottom of the pan. We are also going to use 1 teaspoon of our turmeric powder. I'm just going to move a little spot on the pan so that our turmeric can kind of toast on the bottom. To enhance the absorbability of the curcumin and the turmeric, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of black pepper. And go ahead and mix everything. Now we're also going to add our garlic. So we've got about 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Just going to get that in there. We've also got some parsley. So we're going to add some parsley. You can add anywhere from 1/2 cup to 1 cup. It's going to add some flavor and color. And then we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. If you're using sea salt or Celtic salt, you'll want to use about 1.5 teaspoons. Kosher salt is a little bit fluffier than other salts, so you can use a little bit more to get the same amount of saltiness. This is looking good, smelling really nice. We've had our garlic and seasonings in there for about 2 minutes. You can really smell the garlic. And we don't want the garlic to burn, so we're not going to cook it too long. And you also just want to check to make sure nothing's burning. If your pan gets too hot, you can add a little bit of water to cool it down so that your seasonings and garlic don't burn. Alright, and then I like to kind of move everything off to the side. So we're ready for our hemp seed cream. So we've got our 2 cups of hemp seeds that we blended with 1.25 cups of water. And these are just going all straight in the pan. Once you've got the hemp seed cream in the pan, like we have here, you can let it sit for a little bit. Kind of like if you're making eggs, you just let them sit for a little bit so that they can cook. And you can kind of just pull it. The thing is, you don't want the bottom to burn, but you do want it to brown. And this is different than eggs in that you want it to brown a little bit. And actually that's where a non-stick pan is very useful, just because if you're using a stainless steel pan or even an enameled cast iron, it's a little bit harder to get the hemp seed cream and the scramble to pull away from the pan. And so you essentially have to scrape it harder or it'll just stick, and then the whole thing kind of steams and it doesn't get the texture as good. So ideally, you'll use an enameled cast iron pan that has some of the non-stick properties of a non-stick pan, but also doesn't have any chemicals. I originally developed this recipe in a non-stick pan, and using a stainless steel pan just doesn't work as well. And then once it's been in there a little, you can start to mix it with the onions and peppers and spices, and it should start to turn yellow from the turmeric. And you can kind of mix it all together. Once the hemp seed cream's in the pan, it's going to take about 9 to 12 minutes to cook. So it's not the fastest, it's not quite as fast as making scrambled eggs. For that reason, I like to make this recipe in large batches, and then I freeze some of it and refrigerate some of it. This recipe freezes really well, and when you reheat it, it's kind of hard to tell that it's been frozen, just because it does reheat very well once it's been frozen. Once you've got it all nicely mixed, you can go ahead and add our lemon juice. This is 1 ounce or 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So now we're just cooking this down. We're essentially letting the moisture evaporate. At this point you taste it, and then the only things you'll want to adjust at this point is the salt and the acid. So if you want it a little saltier and if you want a little bit more acid, that's what we're gonna adjust. So we're gonna take our spoon, take a little taste. That's good. I think it needs a tiny bit more acid and a tiny bit more salt. So we're going to do about a ½ teaspoon more of kosher salt, and just a little dash of lemon juice. Oh, that was a lot. That's fine. And again, we're just evaporating the moisture at this point. We'll give it another little taste since we've added more salt and acid. That's what we're looking for. It's perfect. So our breakfast scramble has been cooking for about 12 minutes, and it's starting to get nice and crumbly, looking more like scrambled eggs or a breakfast scramble. And so at this point it is done. You can cook it longer if you want it to be a little bit more firm and drier, but it's really kind of up to you. If you like more like runny scrambled eggs, you can kind of stop it here, or if you want it to be cooked more and get a little bit more browning and more flavor on there, you can keep cooking it. And I tend to like it a little bit more done and less kind of runny or soft, and so I'm going to cook it a little bit longer, and then we'll plate it and try it out. So here is our finished breakfast scramble. I ended up cooking it for about 20 minutes total, just because I want it to be done a little bit more. You can see it's kind of browned and has dried out quite a bit. It's not quite so moist, so yeah, we're just going to plate this. And I like to add some chopped green onions. I'll just kind of sprinkle these over the top, and then just a little bit of parsley to garnish, And then I always serve this with some American hot sauce. So I'll either do Frank's Red Hot, Crystal, or both, and just drizzle on a little bit. Kind of adds a nice little pop of color too. And there you have it. Here is our hemp seed breakfast scramble. Looks beautiful. Alright, here's our hemp seed breakfast scramble. Let's dig in. Oh my god, so good. You have to try this, it's so good. You can find the full recipe at chefrouge.io.